Hello, everybody, and welcome to College GPS. I am Wendy Tilford, founder of College GPS and Plus Education. I am so glad that you all could join me and my colleague, Judy Young of College Excellence this evening. We have a great lineup for you, and we want to get right into it. But first, I wanted to thank you all for showing up, because the first and most important step in this process is showing up to get the answers that you need to make the most important steps that you're going to make in your life applying for college. 4 years ago, we launched College GPS with just 2 participating universities until now. We only held this event in the spring, but thanks to the request of so many parents, here we are today hosting a fall session. And thanks to our participating colleges and universities, we are offering a front row seat with admission representative from 22 schools this year. So we want to give big thanks to today's participating colleges: EHL, Florida Tech, University of South Alabama, and University of Alabama. So just the agenda for this evening is we're going to allow the panelists to introduce themselves. They're going to speak for about 3 minutes. Then we'll have a panel discussion and ask them a series of questions that you've submitted in, and have some poll discussion as well, a Q&A, and then we'll close. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our panelists, starting with University of South Alabama.
Thank you, Wendy. I am Crystal Garcia with University of South Alabama. I live in Houston, Texas. I recruit the entire state of Texas. So we are in Mobile, Alabama. Just to put it in perspective, if you go 7 hours north, south, or west, you're still in Texas. If you go 7 hours east, you hit us right there in Mobile. So it's really awesome. Also, Mobile is one of the largest and oldest cities of the state. So we truly are the cultural epitome of Alabama, with true Southern hospitality, with a jazz, Mobile, opera, symphony, everything of that sort. We're also 45 minutes away from 3 beautiful sandy white beaches. So, Gulf Coast is right there. Also, we're a mid-sized school, right under 15,000 students. We actually rank as a top 5% in the nation as a top research institution. So students can conduct research as early as their second semester freshman year. We do have students from all 50 states with a 20% international population, small faculty to student ratio, 18:1. So your biggest class size will be 24. Also, we do own and operate 2 hospitals as well as a cancer research institute. We have also expanded into a trauma wing. So just lots of different things. We do offer over 100 academic programs, undergraduate to graduate. We do have a medical school. We actually have early acceptance programs where you have the opportunity to gain acceptance into professional school while in high school. So definitely, reach out, more information about that. And I can't talk about all of our programs, but some of the niche things is aerospace engineering, marine biology, nursing, business, definitely contact me more for information about that. But also, big thing, which I'm still going to talk about later, is we are offering in-state tuition for out-of-state students. Anything above a 3.0 GPA, 21 ACT, or 1060 SAT with test optional path, which I know we're going to talk more about there. We are Division I under the Sun Belt Conference. So our football team is actually on ESPN. You can actually catch their game tonight on ESPN. So that's really fun. We have a brand new football stadium that's ready this year, as well as a lot of other sports. So again, it's more on the website. I'm going to drop my information there as well. Also, parking is only $5 all year long, so you truly save thousands of dollars there. Students can bring their car their freshman year, but we do have a JAG-Tran that takes students around campus, so that's definitely not an issue as well. And I know we're going to talk more about a lot of other things, and I know I have limited time, so I just wanted to talk about some niche things, but I'm going to drop my information in the chat function, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to my other colleagues. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Crystal. And that was University of South Alabama. So now I'm going to completely confuse you and ask Megan Borden from University of Alabama to tell us about her school.
Hi, good evening. My name is Megan Borden. I am the Houston and West Texas regional recruiter for the University of Alabama. I also live locally here in Houston to try to make things a little bit more convenient for you all as far as getting information about the University of Alabama. Hopefully once COVID kind of clears out a little bit, I do coffee chats with students and their families in person. But for now, I hold Tide chats. So one-on-one Tide chats, if you want more information about the University of Alabama, I'm more than happy to set those up. But to tell you a little bit more, just right now, just to kind of give you a piece of what the University of Alabama is about, we are located in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We were founded in 1831 as the state's flagship university. The University of Alabama has always focused on being the best. We are dedicated to excellence in teaching, research, and service. We provide a robust campus environment where our students can reach their greatest potential while learning from the best and brightest faculty and making a positive difference in the community, the state, and the world. Our beautiful 1,200-acre campus, which houses more than 38,000 students, has everything you need to be successful during your college years. Be energized through leading-edge research initiatives and state-of-the-art labs. You can be inspired by your professors that you work with and the experts in their fields of study. Be active on campus life and joining one of our 600 plus organizations and clubs. Get involved in a wide range of volunteer opportunities and internships. The University of Alabama is steeped in tradition and success. Legends have been made in our academic halls, on our athletic fields and courts, and in our endeavors to shape the world through our teaching, research, and service. We would certainly love for you to visit the University of Alabama. I know that's been a little difficult. We are holding virtual campus tours, but we are also holding in-person campus tours as well. Limited capacity, and we're only booking them about 45 days in advance. So students can book those tours if you want to do a bus tour, a walking tour, if you want to do a self-guided tour as well. You can do whatever makes you feel most comfortable. I look forward to getting to talk with you throughout the night. And if you want more information from me, I'm going to put my information in the link. So please feel free to reach out to me, text, email, or call. Happy to help in any way that I can. Roll Tide.
Okay, so that was fantastic. Thank you, Megan. And now if we can hear from Joy Walden from the Florida Institute of Technology, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joy Walton. I am the admissions counselor for Texas. I do live in Melbourne, Florida. Melbourne is where our university is also located, and Melbourne is about 1 hour south of Orlando, which is the happiest place on earth. We're about 3 hours away. We're about 3 hours north of Miami. On our campus, we are a medium-sized school, and certainly in comparison to my colleagues this evening, we have a student body comprised of 6,000 students in total, about 3,500 undergrad students and about 2,500 grad students. At our university, you can get anything from your bachelor's degree straight through to your PhD, so you can do a one-stop shop there if you so choose. Some of the things that really stand out with our university: first and foremost, we are a STEM university. Our university was started by engineers from NASA, which means we have a very strong affiliation with NASA. NASA's about 35 minutes away from our campus. That being said, those students who are in STEM majors, it is not at all unusual for them to have professors who are also astronauts. For example, we have Winston Scott. Buzz Aldrin was part of our faculty as well, just to name a few of the people from NASA who happen to be on our campus. Our ratio of professor to student is roughly 1 to 15. I'm an alumni from Florida Tech as well. I have my bachelor's as well as my master's degree from here. And I can tell you, I have had a class, I was one of 11. I've also had another class, I was one of 8. So when I tell you that your professors do indeed know you, trust me, they do. Other things with our university, we are a private university. However, we have a flat rate tuition. We do not have in-state and out-of-state tuition. Everyone does pay the same amount. We do have scholarship programs available. We have merit-based scholarships. We also have needs-based scholarships, and we do have a few a few athletic scholarships as well. We do have a few specialized scholarships for those students who might be members of FIRST or VEX Robotics. If you are a young man who happens to be an Eagle Scout or a young woman who happens to be a Gold Leaf Girl Scout, for example, those are some specialty scholarships that we do have. Another thing with our university, we do have an honors college here on campus, and we have over 100 clubs on campus. We are an NCAA Division II school, so we have all the usual suspects for athletics. On our campus physically, we have 2 Olympic-sized pools, tennis courts. We are on the backside of a golf course and about 5 miles in from the Atlantic Ocean. Other things, academic-wise, we are very heavy project-oriented, which means for our university, we do not relegate those opportunities to be part of research programs strictly to grad students and upperclassmen. They are open to anyone on campus. If you can be a freshman and be part of a research team. That was my experience. I was on a research team actually before I even came on campus, having gone to a campus tour at our university. Other things, if you were not athletic, as I say, we do have theater, we have orchestra, we have an art gallery on campus and a botanical gardens. So we do try to have a little something for everyone here on campus. We are very diverse. Our students are coming from all 50 states. They're also coming from about 100 nations. And currently we have 182 languages spoken on our campus at any given day. The most recent report came out from U.S. News and World Report. We are rated 206 and ranking for colleges. I'm going to be posting my information for contact, my email, my phone number, and our website. If you go to our website, you can sign up, go to visits, click on visits. You can sign up for a physical visit. We are receiving visitors on a limited basis. We also have a link for our virtual school tour. And I also encourage students, click on the link for a student panel. We have them ongoing throughout. You'll see the dates for them. You can sign up for one of them, and they give you an opportunity to speak one-on-one with current students to see what their daily life happens to be right now.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joy. And last but not least, we'd like to hear from Daniel Flores from EHL Hotel School.
Hi, everybody. My name is Daniel Flores, and yes, I'm here representing EHL, and I thought I'd show a little bit of or actually some visuals, so that way you don't have to just see my face the entire time. So right in front of you is actually a representation of EHL. We have 120 different nationalities on campus. What you'll notice is everybody's dressed up. Why? Because we wear suits every single day. This is our dress code. We prep you from day one how to present yourself. This is an extremely international school with over 120 nationalities, and about 84% of our entire student body knows about 3 languages or more. We are currently ranked as the world's #1 hospitality and leisure management school. We are the world's first hotel school, and to explain the transition, we went from strictly being focused in how to own and operate a hotel to how do you become a world-class hospitality leader. Now what hospitality is its business. We take it the next step, and how do we inject that hotel DNA, that experience that you would receive at a 5-star hotel, into your business. One thing we're crazy proud about is that last year we became the first school ever to have a Michelin star training restaurant. So when you think about your college experience, yeah, you can actually have Michelin star meal for breakfast, lunch, and or dinner. And in addition to receiving it, we were able to maintain it for this year. I figured it would also be important for you to see what the future campus looks like. This is our campus in Lausanne, Switzerland, which is in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, but guess what? You don't need to know French to go here. Our program is taught entirely in English. So the entire campus was actually environmentally sustainable because that's really big with Swiss culture. And we also wanted to provide all the amenities for our students to really stay on campus and enjoy themselves. And by amenities, I mean an indoor pool, indoor gym, indoor spa. College life is rough. People need their mani-pedis, so you get that there. And if you're looking for a different type of experience, then guess what? You can go to Singapore. Now, this is actually one of our dorms on campus. You can take a virtual tour online, but this is Singapore. Top left is what the campus looks like right now. Every other picture is the rendering of what the campus is going to look like down the road. So Singapore is considered the Switzerland of Asia. Why? Because there's people from all over the world there. In a 3-hour flight from Geneva, you're in 36 countries. In a 3-hour flight from Singapore, you're in 17 countries. In a 3-hour flight from Oakland, I am in the border of Canada, the border of Colorado, Texas, Mexico, or the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So when you think about your college experience, this is what you could be doing at EHL. So I hope that helps out, and thank you for your time.
Well, I'll tell you, sign me up. I'll deal with you. Okay, that sounds fantastic. Okay, back to you, Wendy. Wendy, you're muted.
Sorry. Start with the first question. Will the college admissions process change with the coronavirus? And we'll start with Daniel.
So for us, the process has not changed. We are not test optional, but what we've done is we work with students on a case-by-case basis. So for instance, we require specific testing depending on what diploma you're graduating with. And I mean that because we have students from all over the world. So some graduate with American high school, some do IB. So it's all case by case. But to give an example, we've actually allowed students to start this week, because this was the first week of classes, and they have until October of next year to be able to satisfy their SAT or ACT or subject test requirements. But aside from that, business as usual.
Okay, fantastic. And if we could hear from Crystal Garcia, please, from University of South Alabama.
Yeah, thank you. So I would like to say what we have done and then what's going to change. So essentially, due to the pandemic, for the last part, we have accommodated students by extending deadlines, accepting transcripts, test scores, all through email, as well as accepting self-reported test scores. Also, we have introduced a sliding scale for admissions. So for example, per our criteria, students are admissible with a 2.5 GPA, 19 ACT, and SAT equivalent. Sliding scale means we may admit a student who has a 3.0 GPA, but an 18 or 17 ACT. So that kind of what that means. And then this year we are transitioning to offer a test optional path. So essentially we just need students to submit an essay and a letter of recommendation. But again, contact me and I'll give you more details about that.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And Megan, what about University of Alabama?
So we have made some additional changes, and we are still currently making even more changes as it's progressed. For us, the University of Alabama, we have always had a very simple application process. We don't require an essay, we don't require a resume, recommendation letters. It's basically a very demographic application, and then we just need high school transcripts and test scores. Due to the coronavirus, we are kind of being a little bit more at this time. We have not gone test optional yet. We are in the process of trying to work some things out and hopefully on the road to being test optional. But at this time, we are more test flexible, whereas students can go ahead and be admitted without having a test. We encourage students to go ahead and apply to the University of Alabama. They can go ahead and be admitted without a test on a condition that they will have a test before or by May 1st of 2021. Now, in the event that we go test optional, those that will obviously change what the requirements and everything will be and what that will look like. I have not yet been given details, but if students want to reach out to me and get more information, please feel free to. We should know something by the end of the month. Also, our scholarships are changing as well as far as admissions. We have our merit automatic award, but we've been given information that will be going on the website very soon of additional scholarships for students without a test score as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. And what about Florida Tech, Joy?
Hi, currently we are not test optional. We still are requiring the exams from those students. However, at our university, we have rolling admission. So we don't have a hard locked-in deadline, that May 1st deadline. So I think that's one of the reasons right now they've been hesitant to go test optional. Real life experience that I'm dealing with right now with my students is I am asking them, if you're interested in Florida Tech, apply, even if you don't have your test scores at this point, because if it should become test optional, I have all of your documentation already. If you have the option to take the exam, by all means take the exam, that type of a thing. And it's sort of, that's where we are right now. But right now we still are requiring that SAT and or ACT. You can get admitted with unofficial scores, but we do need to have that official test score by the time you are entering that semester, your semester. Okay?
Great to know. Thank you. And Wendy, back to you.
Okay, so the next question is, how can students find out about the school as many campuses are closed due to COVID? So how will students be able to find out about that? Joy with what is that?
Okay, so as I mentioned, you can, if you aren't able to travel to Florida, you go to our website, fit.edu. There's a link called Visits. You click right on that. You can do a virtual tour with us. You can arrange to do the student panel again. That's another great way to do it. You can certainly reach out to me. I'm more than happy to discuss different things on campus, your particular needs. If you have special needs, anything of that nature, we do make accommodations for our students accordingly.
Okay, thank you so much. And Crystal from University of South Alabama.
Yeah, can you repeat the question again?
The question is, how can students find out about your school as many campuses are closed due to COVID?
Yeah, thank you so much for reiterating that.
No problem.
So we are offering on-campus tours. We have actually opened up Saturday visits as well. So if that works better for you, as well as adhering to CDC guidelines. As I mentioned, we do own and operate 2 hospitals. So not only do we have staff and faculty as part of our COVID task force, but we also have expert epidemiologists part of that task force as well. So we definitely make sure that our students' safety is our top priority. We are also offering virtual visits. So if you want to meet with me or another admission counselor, but also with me as well as with everyone, I recommend checking out our YouTube channels because you can hear me talk on and on and on about my school, but it's really nice hearing a student tell their story as well as visually being able to see campus. So definitely check out all of our YouTube channels as well.
I think that's great advice. Thank you very much, Crystal. And how about you, Daniel?
So I'm actually in charge of the left half of US, left half of Canada, and all of Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. So anytime anybody's looking to get information, they can text, call, WhatsApp me, whatever you need. If you're looking to get in contact with current students, with alumni, same thing. Now in the chat, I'm going to be posting a link to a virtual tour of our campus that was created, I would say, within the past 3 months or so. In addition to that, there's going to be a link to an opportunity for you to chat with some of our students. So there's always ways of getting information. Ultimately, it lies in you being able to contact us as your recruitment officers to get that information.
Fantastic, thank you. And Megan, can you talk to us about the University of Alabama?
So University of Alabama, we are actually open. We have students taking classes on campus. We have a little bit of in-person, hybrid, and online courses, and students are living in the residential halls as well. We are doing in-person campus tours. They are only booked, there is very limited space in the tours, so we're only booking them about 45 days in advance, just so that way we can keep an eye on how things progress with COVID, and we don't want to have to make any cancellations at the last minute or anything like that for students. We also have our virtual tour as well for students that aren't or able to come on campus right now. There's also our campus partners, our different colleges within our universities. They are also offering in-person info sessions along with the virtual info sessions and some in-person tours. If you plan to be on campus at some point and you've already booked a day that you'll be on campus, if you will let me know, I can set up a in-depth visit for you as far as getting to meet with someone from your particular major or college. I'd love to get that set up for you, so that way you can kind of get a feel of what you would be doing and what building you would be at if you decided to attend Alabama. And I'll put the link here on the chat.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And Wendy, back to you.
Perfect. So the next question is the role of SAT and ACT and other standardized tests is in the process as many tests are being canceled and students may have fewer opportunities to test. So what role does the ACT and SAT play in the admissions process? And I will and also add, if the college is now test optional due to the COVID, is there any advantage to submitting a strong test score? And I'll start with University of Alabama.
So at this time, we're still, I had mentioned, we're not yet test optional, but, and we don't have a holistic review. So in our past applications, the ACT a very strong review part of our admission process. In the event that we go test optional, the GPA will obviously be a little bit more of in your involvement on campus. We're going to look heavily more on those aspects for our seniors this year. For in the event that you are able to take a test, I would encourage you to take advantage if you can, regardless of if it's test optional or not. We will have options for scholarships, both for students without a test score and with a test score. And we're going to award you the highest scholarship based on what you are eligible for, regardless if you have a test score or not. So if you have a test score and you make an extremely high test score, and you have all of these great involvement and everything, you could potentially be awarded additional money versus what you would have received if you didn't have a test score based on just your activity and involvement. So we're going to try to award you the most that we can.
Fantastic. Scores mean money. And Joy, can you talk to us about Florida Tech?
As I mentioned, we still are currently requiring the SAT and or ACT. So I don't have a lot of flexibility with that. We're hoping that we will change because of, the trend does seem to be going with most universities and colleges that they are leaning towards test optional. We're in constant discussion about that. And as I said, right now we're requiring those tests. I know a lot of students are having great difficulties. They've signed up for tests, but the test becomes canceled, or they signed up, but now they can't get in. So we are trying to take all of these things into consideration. But the stance right now is because we have rolling admission, we are saying you still have options to take that test. You still have time by which to take the test. Right. And I'm really encouraging people, send your information in, at least I have it. And if you can take the test, and it comes around, you can take it, that's great. If we get to a point where we say, you know what, we're going to have to go test optional, you're already in my queue. So you're not pushed further behind. Absolutely.
Got it. Thank you. And Danielle, can you talk about EHL?
Yeah, so we are not test optional at this point. So what we've done is we've created a lot of flexibility in our process. We are holistic admissions, so that's one aspect of it, but we also look at what do you do outside of academics. You could be the smartest person in school, doesn't mean you're a good fit for our industry or for our school. So we put a little bit of emphasis on it, but that's not everything. So it's really a case-by-case basis because it does revolve around what diploma are you graduating with. A French bac, a German Abitur, American high school diploma, so it all changes. But at the same token, that's what you have me for, so you can ask us, and then we have flexibility to still have allowed students to start the program this week, but they will have to take the SAT requirements or ACT, whatever it is, because it deals with accreditation, and we want to make sure that their degree remains valid.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. And Crystal, what about University of South Alabama?
Yeah, definitely. So we understand that some students are having difficulty taking the ACT or SAT. Further, we understand that students may not be comfortable taking the test in that type of environment. So as I mentioned, we are offering a test optional path, but we do recommend if students have anything above a 21 ACT or 1060 SAT to submit those scores, because as you mentioned, better scores, more scholarship money. Also, we are super scoring for the ACT. So just in case people are not aware what super scoring means, it means you take the test multiple times, and if you get a higher math score on this test but a higher English score on this test, we take the highest subset and make one overall super composite. Fortunately for us, we only do the ACT at the moment, but also scholarships for test optional students will be awarded based on the strength of curriculum, grades, and a variety of other factors. So this is kind of where you can produce an academic resume, where in addition to all the clubs that you have done in school, anything else that you've done outside of school, just go ahead and include that, because that just strengthens your application. And then also something else that I want to add that I feel like, just kind of goes on the trend with uncertainty. The pandemic is uncertainty. Something else, here at South, you do not have to declare your major till your third semester. You can declare right away or anytime in between that. So even if you're a senior in high school, or I don't know what I want to study, still apply to these schools that you're interested in. 60% of students change their major after their first semester across the nation. So even if you don't know, still apply, still a great investment into your future. So just wanted to point that out there. I personally changed my major 3 times. I still graduated in 4 years. Academic advising is amazing. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And back to you, Wendy.
This is great information. Thank you. Next question is, how will colleges consider grades and class rank this year? Some schools have moved to pass-fail options, and classes have been canceled through the end of the school year. Crystal?
Yeah, so for traditionally, we just look at test scores and their GPA. We don't even consider ranking as part of that. I know a lot of Texas schools says top 10% you're in. We don't really have that because we believe in access to higher education. So we already have like a pretty low threshold. But if that is the case with the fail or pass fail option, just go ahead and apply, and whatever extra documentation you have, just send that in. And of course, we all have general admission emails, but if you know your admission counselor like us, reach out to us, communicate with us, and that would be your best chance to get the most accurate information with all the changes that are happening in admissions.
That's great, and thank you for sharing that with the students. And Joy, can you talk to us about Florida Tech? I think
Hi.
you. Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I was not muted, but apparently I was. Sorry. With our university again, I'm looking at those scores, but I'm also looking at your academics as well. I am very holistic. I very much with what Daniel said earlier on. I'm looking at the whole person. My job. Well, I think all of us certainly. Our job is to find the right student that's going to be the right fit for our school, and we think all of us, we're representing our schools. We think we're the best school, but my school might not be the best for Johnny Jones, okay? And so we want to make sure we have a good fit both ways. It's a very reciprocal sort of relationship. With that being said, I always tell students, I'm looking at everything you did from 9th grade on, all right? You could have, I want to go into mechanical engineering and my highest math is algebra 2. I'm never going to accept you into mechanical engineering. All right. What I will do, I'm going to talk to you and try and find out what other interests you have. And maybe there's another major that's not a STEM major of interest to you. Or I'm going to suggest that you go to, take additional math courses and bring that math up to that calculus to make you eligible for it. At our university, you go directly into your major from day one. So that's a little different, I know, from a lot of other schools. We go right into our majors. So I want to make sure that that's one of the reasons I'm looking at everything, your entire curriculum. Do you have the right classes in order to maintain? I don't want to set anybody up for failure. I don't think anyone wants to. And that's very, very important to me at our university, definitely.
And thank you for clarifying that. I'm sure that was confusing initially for a lot of people. So Danielle, if you can talk to us about EHL, please.
Yeah, so we've never really looked at class rank. At the end of the day, we look at unweighted GPA. If it's American High School Diploma, once again, and we have our 3.0 minimum, and it goes back to what Joy says, we are holistic. So as far as the pass-fail, we haven't really come across that yet, but we're also very flexible as far as we've had to adapt to a lot of change. So if we are seeing that there are more pass-fail, then we just really bring it up the food chains to see how it would work. And that's, once again, the importance of staying in contact with your recruitment officer like myself, so that way we can work with you through the process.
That's great. And I'm hearing that over and over. Guys, stay in touch with the admissions officers. And Wendy, back to you.
All right, so just a polling question. Just wanted to ask as a joke, or maybe not a joke. How long do you think a college admission officer spends on average reviewing an application? Daniel, how long does it take you? Megan's laughing.
And I guess I'll say because holistic, it may be very different than just the quantitative. So for holistic, we would look at a resume if they submit it. We look at their overall application. We read their essay. If they have letters of recommendation, I would say 10, if it, yeah, 10, 15 minutes would be way more than enough.
Okay, we've locked
Okay.
you in now. All right, and Crystal, talk to us about youth health.
Yeah, so for us, we have our, I'm part of the Office of Recruitment, and we have a separate Office of Admissions that processes our application. But I do have experience working for a 4-year private liberal arts school where we were also holistic review. And same as Daniel, it would take 10 to 15 minutes. It's just dependent on the student. If they had 1 or 5 letters of recommendation, that takes a little more time, but we do take the time and we do read all of the documentation that is sent to us, as well as there are some interviews that happen. So if schools do offer interview and you are interested, definitely take them up on that. And that is a whole nother process and time with that as well.
That's great advice, thank you. And Megan, what about University of Alabama?
So just like Crystal, we actually have a processing team that takes care of all of our applications. The applications come in, the transcripts and everything. So I just recruit. I don't have to do the zero time for me.
Lucky you.
Right. So that's why I was laughing. You noticed that I was laughing, and I was
Yeah.
I do not envy the reading the essays and everything, but we do have for students that maybe they're kind of on the borderline of not quite meeting our admission requirements to the University of Alabama in the past. Students are able to submit an essay as to why they feel like they would be a good fit or what they could bring to the University of Alabama and why they should be accepted. And of course, we will evaluate that and review those essays and recommendation letters that they have sent to us in about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on what they send us to be reviewed.
Perfect, thank you. And what about Florida Tech, Joy?
Same here. I will go through everything that you send me. One of the things that we do, we work with a weighted GPA. So if you send me your information and it's not weighted, I have to go through the whole process of reevaluating all your grades all over again. So that's how we base our scholarships. So easily, in a perfect world, you send me that weighted GPA, probably about 15, 20 minutes each, because I am looking at everything. And I always tell students that I am going to be looking at everything.
That's very reassuring to know, I'm sure, from my students. And back to you, Wendy.
Okay, so will your colleges be open in the fall, or do you expect classes to be online? If classes are online, do you expect that to change the cost of attendance? Joy?
We are anticipating 100% back on campus come our spring semester in January. Right now, we have students have the option of remote classes or being on campus. So, but right now, the plan is that we are anticipating everyone to be back on campus, business as usual, back for January, because we're optimistic and saying, yes, we can.
Another ear there, Joy. Okay, thank you. And Crystal, what about you, South Alabama? That was a good one.
Oh, wait, Joy. So will there be, Judy, will the costs be the same?
Okay.
Online or?
Yeah, the cost has been the same, yes,
Okay.
because those who are remotely, they are in that classroom. They are doing what we're doing right now. The professor is teaching, and so they're right there. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
We just have some parents want to know: do they get the 50% discount?
No, not this week.
Okay, Crystal, you South Alabama.
That's a good one, Joy. So we're operating on a hybrid model. So campus is open. Some courses are fully online, some are part online. It's per the discretion of the professor as well as the student. Fortunately, as I mentioned, we do have the expert epidemiologists on our task force, which I always find that's very reassuring to students. We have a very detailed reopening plan, as well as anticipating for this, the spring semester, the summer semester. Also, we have not discounted tuition, but we are at a tuition freeze, which means that we will not be increasing tuition at all, at least during the pandemic. Also, our tuition is already low. Out-of-state tuition is around $19,000. If you get the in-state tuition, that's around $9,000, automatic $2,000 scholarship, up to full tuition study abroad. As Joy mentioned, you're still going to be talking with our professors, still going to be in the classrooms. It's just all being adaptable per the discretion. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Wonderful. And Megan, if you could talk to us about University of Alabama, please.
So we are open for this fall. Majority of our freshman students, because we wanted them to get acclimated on campus as best they could with this pandemic. Our upper level classmen, you know, they've already had the experience of their freshman year of getting to live on campus and everything and taking their classes. So majority of our freshman classes were and are in person. And then we do have a mixture of hybrid and online. For our upper level classmen, a lot of those courses are mostly online. And then with the discretion of the professors in the event that something changes, we did have a little bit of a high rise in COVID tests this fall. Students were not really wanting to stay socially distanced at the time. Imagine that starting your freshman year. So students, we did have a lot more go online. The price for tuition is going to stay the same. It is on a freeze. So no changes there. We are going to do strictly online courses, and we after Thanksgiving break, when students go on Thanksgiving break, we're not doing a fall break this year. We are going all the way through, and then students are going to be able to do classes online after Thanksgiving. They can do them on campus or off campus. It's completely up to them, but the price will still be the same. And just like Crystal, that we do have a tuition freeze during this pandemic for our students as well. So the price is not going to go up. But in the event that something changes, just like for this past spring when everything happened, we did prorate our students that were living on campus, and everything, the classes, they were prorated based on their housing and stuff. So we have the best interest of our students in mind as far as making sure that they're accommodated, and if something like that were to happen again and they are forced to be off campus and can't be on campus, then yes, those adjustments.
And Daniel, what about EHL?
We're going to a high flex model, which it's hybrid, but it's also flexible, hence the name. We actually started classes this week. We're in a unique situation merely because we are an international school, so 70% of our students come from outside of Switzerland. So what has happened was for first-time freshmen, what we would consider in the US, they're all on site. Class is pretty much the same. Everybody has to be socially distant on campus, wearing masks. We have sanitation stations everywhere. We have a whole thermometer when you walk in to be able to check your temperature. So that's been the same. When you go to second, third, and fourth year students, they're the ones that are on the hybrid formats or the high flex. So at no given time are there more than 1,000 students on campus. We have around 3,300. So it's still a way for people to maneuver around and not have to be cramped up. Outside of that, there's going to be 2 intakes where they're actually on internship, because in our 4-year program, you have 2 6-month internships. So those people are typically out of country. So that also means less people on campus. As far as tuition goes, it's still going to be the same because most of the people are on campus.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Daniel. And Wendy, back to you.
Great. Next question. How will extracurricular be considered since many schools and outside activities, as well as summer programs and internships, have been canceled? Joy?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your first portion. I apologize.
How will extracurriculars be considered since many schools and outside activities, as well as summer programs and internships, have been canceled?
Okay. As I mentioned earlier on, we're a STEM university. English translation, we're very geeky. We're not athletics. We're NCAA Division II school, but the majority of our students, they're there for academics. They're not there for sports. All right, sports is a great. It is an extracurricular activity for them, but the 99% of our students are very focused on their academics. So I don't think it's particularly having a major impact. Also, keep in mind, being in Florida, when it's not raining, they're usually out, they're outside. They can have a pickup volleyball game, a softball game, a cricket game, something like that going on there. So they aren't limited as far as that goes. And it's not really I don't think it's particularly having that much of an impact currently.
Okay, thank you. And what about you, Crystal, at USO?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we just need your transcript and test scores. So in general, the extracurricular activities are not considered. And even with our test optional path, we just need an essay and letters of recommendation. So with that, I would say if you're asking for a letter of recommendation, it can be a teacher where you're in class, but it could also be someone that, because really we want to get to know you in a different facet. So it could be your Boy Scout director, it could be a band director, it could be someone else. So in a sense, even if the event isn't happening, you still have your network, you still have your people that you met and improved through that, and you grew through that. So those people are still there. They're still there to represent you. So I would say if anything has canceled and if a school, asks for a letter of recommendation, just consider that as an option. But also, we have to be creative. So if you're creating something online, go ahead and do that. Like if you're creating this new club, or if you've done Zoom events with your friends or whatever, even if you've done a Netflix party, whatever it may be, just like, things are changing. We are transitioning to a virtual world. So don't discredit your creativity, and it's not too late yet. So just keep that in mind as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And Megan, what about University of Alabama?
So we don't have that holistic review as far as for the admission portion, but for scholarships, I know that that's really important for students to have those extracurricular activities, those leadership roles and opportunities that and any types of internships they might have been able to get involved with. We're looking from 9th grade all the way to your senior year, and we know that this hasn't been an easy. We're all in the same boat trying to make it through it. So I mean, everybody's kind of going through the same thing with everything canceling, as far as not being able to participate in certain events that maybe you were planning to. Definitely, we have a spot in the application, on the scholarship application, like special circumstances. You're welcome to put in those special circumstances, include that information. Like, due to COVID, I wasn't able to complete certain things. Like, these are activities that I had lined up. You can do that. Now, don't blame everything on COVID, because we're all kind of in that same, like I said, in the same boat. We know that the struggle is real. So be like Crystal said, be creative and take advantage of this virtual time if you can, and just see what you can do. Now, for our college students, a lot of internships, we are very proud about our internships at Alabama. We are top 10 in the nation, #1 in the SEC for our college internships. Some of those, as far as job internships and co-ops, have been postponed a little bit for some students. For others, they're making adjustments and being able to start just at a little bit of a later time. But getting a job after graduating from college at the University of Alabama is really huge. Any extracurricular activities on campus as a student are still taking place, just in a social distance safe manner. And we're just trying to make sure that the students' health and the faculty and staff student health is at our main priority. Athletics programs still taking place as well, just at a different type of capacity. So football for us starts this weekend, and it's going to look a little different, but we're excited. So we're just trying to fight this new normal.
Okay, thank you. And Danielle, is there anything you'd like to add about EHL?
Yeah, so we actually kind of challenge students to really do something outside of the box. I've been working with a student who she started making and selling her own cheese boards. She did that during quarantine. So things like that are what we look for. And it's the same thing. I mean, yes, COVID has stopped a lot. It hasn't stopped everything. And we take the past 4 years into consideration. And this just happened 6 months ago. So we look at all of that. Are you able to, face adversity and then work through it? But these are all things that we consider.
I think that's great advice for students. And Wendy, back to you.
Yeah, and that's a good question. It goes right into segue. What advice would you all give or have for students as they think about the new normal for the college admissions process? Crystal?
Yeah, so main thing is reach out to your admission rep with the only constant there is change. Your admission rep will have the most updated information for your students, as well as there are some schools that considered demonstrated interest, which means that they're higher consideration if they've actually reached out to the school. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, as a first-gen student, I would never think to reach out to my admission counselor. There's that type of hesitancy. So I would say my main advice is show initiative. We're not in person. We can't just reach out to you. That face value is kind of taken away. So students do need to be a little more, they need to show more initiative and reach out. So that's my advice.
That is fantastic advice. Thank you. And Megan, what about you from U of Alabama?
My word for this year has been flexible, just being as flexible as you possibly can with just the changes, the constant changes, the constant different requirements that colleges are having, deadlines changing. So, and Crystal made a great point, keep in contact with your recruiter for your college, regardless if you're planning on attending any of these, any of our institutions. Make sure you reach out to them, find out what steps you need to take, how can we help you. We love, I'm speaking for all of us, we love the positions and the jobs that we're in. We love getting to talk to students and having this interaction with you. Yeah, definitely reach out to us and let us help in any way that we can, as far as directing you to scholarships, the admission process, and anything you need help with.
That is so wonderful. I'm sure students and families are really excited to hear that. And Joy, what advice do you have from Florida Tech?
From Florida Tech, I would say, I think the operative word is opportunities. I think that, a lot of times we keep hearing the word it's challenging, it's a different time, on and on. But I think for us, we're always looking at these situations as these are opportunities. These are opportunities to think outside the box. These are opportunities to really find out, maybe I wasn't thinking about going in a particular direction, but now this is kind of exciting to me. Look at it as sort of like this is life. This is the adventure. This is part of the adventure of life. As you said, self-advocacy. There is none of us on this panel that any person listening to us tonight should feel, I can't really talk to that person. Ask any of us anything. We're more than welcome to help you. If we can't help you ourselves, we're savvy enough to reach out to our colleagues and help direct you to where you need to be. But the whole thing is, like Megan said, you have to ask about it. Have that self-advocacy. Don't be afraid. Look at these types of things as you're going into a new phase of life. It's really exciting. And part of the excitement, actually, you should be looking at it as this whole COVID thing is part of the excitement. None of us know what's going to happen 6 months down the line from now. Look at, these are opportunities, and be open to all of those possibilities. Where you can be, where do you see yourself going, and actively being a part of the future.
Wow, I think that's a great perspective for students out there. And Daniel, what would you like to add?
Life moves on. This is not going to stay forever. So you have to, more than anything, the general college advice I give people is make sure you're going for fit. And even coming from a university that's #1 in the world, I say we're not #1 for everybody. So make sure that you're going for the university that's the right fit, because this won't last forever, but you want to make sure that when you're on campus, you feel a connection, because that's the most important thing. When you're connected with the environment, with the learning style, with your peers, it shows. When you are connected to your degree because you did your research, because you talk to alumni, you talk to students, it shows in your grades. And then that also helps you down the road with your career. So I kind of tell people, think actually 5 to 10 years after you graduate, what are you physically doing? Don't put a job title, but what are you physically doing? Are you with people? Are you by yourself? Are you in an office? Are you out and about? Are you with people from all over the world? Does that matter? Because once you start to think about that, you look at the degree, then that will get you there. And I have what I consider an 80% rule. If 80% of the curriculum or more is interesting to you, that's a good fit. If not, check something else out. Then what school offers that degree, but the school that has that right fit, so that way I can get to the job at the end of the day. And then really, cost is the last thing that you should worry about. So don't let cost scare you, because a lot of people, they do that, and they could actually be losing out on some really good opportunities because they didn't shoot their shot.
You guys have such great advice. I wish I had known you when I was 17, but that is fantastic for everyone here who's listening. And Wendy,
Yes.
back to you, Wendy.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. I'm sitting here thinking I'm like, how can I go back? I want to go to EHL just for a little bit. And I go to Tech. I mean, you're by the beach.
Right. Even if I'm no
South
good.
Alabama, you're by the beach. It's like in the malls and the casinos. I mean, I'm like, oh gosh, it's amazing. Thank you, attendees, for joining us tonight for College GPS. And thank you, panelists, so much. Thank you for the Tech. Thank you, University of Southern Alabama, University of Alabama, and also EHL. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it and look forward to working with you again soon. Thank you.
So
Thank
much.
you for
Thank
having
you all
us.
so much.
Thank you.